Hey, what's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Televised podcast. My name is Anna, and today we're going to be talking about Supergirl Season 6, Episode 1, the last Supergirl season premiere. It's titled Rebirth. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's not even kind of sad, it's really sad. I'm really upset about Supergirl ending. I mean, obviously everybody knows that, but it's starting to feel real, you know? It's starting to feel like, like it's over, like it's the beginning of the end. That's what it is. And it's like, oh my god. But I thought it was a really solid episode to come back on. I think that it followed through, or it continued. I mean, obviously, because it was originally supposed to be the season 5 finale. Kind of in the same, I mean, different from like Batwoman, when we talked about Batwoman season 2 episode 1. Very different from that, because Batwoman in a sense was kind of like just starting over, you know, in their new season, and in almost like a soft reboot, but not really, but just like they had an opportunity to kind of like start over. Supergirl had to wrap up all of their season 5 stuff. So I mean, I think that it brought with it the better parts of some of those last couple of episodes of season 5. If you haven't already, you can go back and listen to my thoughts about the last like 2 episodes of season 5. I thought they were really solid. And I'll definitely talk about that during this episode, about the things that I think worked really well and the things that were carried over from those last couple of episodes. So, but also, speaking of Batwoman, I released a Batwoman only mid-season finale recap on Tuesday this week. If you missed it, you could go back and check that out. That's why I'm not talking about Batwoman at the beginning of this episode. There's no Batwoman next week, so I have plenty of time to decide if I want to commit to two podcasts a week. I still haven't decided, so I'll figure that out. But for right now, we're gonna be just talking about Supergirl today. So I mean, like I said, we're kind of picking up with this episode right where the season 5 finale left off. We pick up with Brainy, and he's still lying there on the floor of the Leviathan ship, right where we left him at the end of season 5. He's dying of radiation poisoning, but Nia comes to his rescue. He uses what he thinks will be his last words to say that he loves Nia, but she is not having that. She's like, you're not, she literally says, you are not dying, but she's like, you're not dying on my watch. I've got to kill you first for betraying all of us. No. But she unveils this like new power that, I mean, I think it was an unveil. I don't recall her ever using this power before, of like projection. So she like puts one fist on the ground, kind of like a superhero pose, and a projection, that's what all I could call it, like a projection of Nia steps out of her body. So she's like astral projecting. It's pretty cool. She steps out of her body and she like can go through like walls and stuff, and she uses her hand to open the room that Brainy is laying in, that's irradiated. And so Nia ends up getting blasted by that crazy computer MILF lady. And while this is all happening, Magan, Jean, Kara, and Alex, they all show up to help. And Alex and Nia get Brainy, and they get Brainy and they take him out to the to a different, like, he's laying on like the poker table. And he says, well, Alex injects him with something that she made from her Martian weapon that like makes all kinds of things, and she like shoots him up with it. It's like some kind of like cure for the radiation that the radiation poisoning that he sustained. And once he's kind of like shot with that, he says that they need the anti-life equation to stop game day. And it's like, ooh, that was fun timing. You know, the Snyder Cut just came out. I still haven't seen it. I don't really care to watch it. But I do know that in it, the anti-life equation plays a huge part. And obviously, Darkseid plays a huge part. And anti-life equation is intrinsically tied to Darkseid. So kind of funny on the timing there. But Alex materializes this like USB, basically. She materializes this USB and she throws it to Kara, and Kara shoves it into the computer and destroys Game Day, ending the villain that we spent since the end of season 4 being teased and taunted and mysteried of and intrigued by in literally 5 minutes. Oh my god. I think if that just goes to show anything, is that like, I mean, I'm sure that maybe in the original like cut of the season 5 finale, maybe it was a much more intense battle, and maybe they cut some stuff from the front end so that they could kind of wrap up the storyline quicker. I'm sure that's what they did, but it just felt so stupid. It's like, oh my god, guys, literally since the end of season 4 on that bench with Eve and old Leviathan lady when she was like, Leviathan is everywhere, and then it's like they ended that villain in literally 5 minutes. Literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Oh my god. If that just, I mean, I was saying, if that just goes to show anything, it's that season 5 had the weakest villains of the entire show. I mean, straight up. Had the weakest. I mean, Leviathan was a horrible villain. Horrible big bad. I mean, Lex is fine because they always do good by Lex. He's so hateable, and Jon Cryer is so good that I love to hate him. But Leviathan was just so stupid. And I mean, I still don't really even know what their whole point was. I mean, I guess they were going for like a Thanos thing where they're like, we just want to kill everybody because there's too many people, you know, save the planet. And we hate technology. And I mean, people have talked about this before, and I talked about this before too, where, you know, it felt so tone deaf to unfortunately watch it in the midst of the pandemic, where we're all just using technology as like the only way to connect to each other. It just felt, oh my, you know, so tone deaf, so ham-fisted, just awful. So I mean, as glad as I am that they just wrapped it up and got rid of it, I'm still like, we just wasted all of this time. Season 5 felt like a waste of time in terms of like villains and stuff. I mean, obviously season 5, I mean, had some of my favorite Kara and Lena stuff, but I mean, god damn, that villain was horrible. And again, ended in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So Lex ends up taking, so he at the end of the season 5 finale, he took that tiny planet container thing that Brainy had with all the gods in it, all the Leviathan people except for the crazy MILF computer lady. He takes that and he takes it to Shelly Island, where it's the same plant that he used for like Red Daughter during season 4 and stuff like that. And he basically goes into one of those chambers from the 100th episode too, you know, one of those chambers. And Lillian, I don't know, injects it into him. I don't know how those chambers work. And it gives him the same exact powers as Leviathan. So super strength, can like move the earth, can detect where people are, like he can like sense or whatever. So basically just like OP, overpowered. And it's so funny watching this scene because Earth Prime's Lillian is just so different from the Lillian that we used to know. And she insists that Lex keep Lena alive and out of his plan, and Lex is like, but she killed me first. And Lillian straight up says, I will turn on you if you kill Lena. I don't care. I will turn on you, and then you'll be all alone, and then you'll be like crazy Lionel. Boom. And I'm like, what is going on with this Lillian Luthor unearned redemption, but not even redemption, just like a weird loyalty to Lena that she's never had before on the show. And that's the thing that I just hate about Crisis, is that it changed the show. and it made, it allowed the Supergirl writers to just like write whatever they want, and it's supposed to make sense, but it's just so weird to see this new version of Lillian, and she wears jewel tones all the time. I mean, Brenda looked absolutely just beautiful this whole episode. I'm like, damn, Lillian, she's a MILF. God. But so Lex explains that his whole plan is to make people love him and then anti-monitor the shit out of the multiverse. And he used Lena's nano-cherry program to make people love him during the Unity Festival with some kind of like implant, I guess, in their minds that he like snuck in, like Trojan horse kind of thing. And anyone who didn't get the like Lexi, that's what you said, I love Lexi, upgrade is gonna be blown up, like disappeared out of existence. How fun. So the Super Friends, Lena calls the Super Friends to the tower because she pushes the little button, and Supergirl and Dreamer and Megan and Jean and Alex and Brainy and Kelly's there too. Everybody shows up. And they work out Lex's plan. It's kind of a repetitive scene. It's so strange because it's like they have Lex explain every single thing that he's gonna do and everything that happened. They have him explain it all to us and to Lillian, and then they have the Super Friends do the exact same thing, and it's kind of weird because there's like, well, okay, there's that really Nia has a dream, and Kara says, "Dreamer, what did you dream?" And I don't know why that line is so funny, but it is. And she basically just dreamed of Lex as the anti-monitor. And again, they just like put it all together. Lena says that he used Nano Cherry to like do all of this. Like it's the same thing. And also, but there's this great, in this moment, there's a really great kind of like shade at William, where Kelly says that William has Eve and her mom on the record against Lex for an article at Catco, but Alex points out how that won't matter now that everybody loves him, and she's like, does he really think that an article is going to do anything? She's like, this guy is so stupid. We'll talk more about William later. At the tower, Jean and Megan say that they are the only option for shutting down the satellites, which is what is going to send out the like radiation or whatever that will, or waves or Q waves or what, I don't know, whatever is gonna make people explode. That's who's the culprit, the satellites up in the sky that Lex launched during his world tour. Every time I'm reminded of this damn world tour, I keep thinking about that. How they put, oh no, it was like two different cities in Brazil, and they put like Sao Paulo, and they were like in Rio, and it was, oh Jesus. Or maybe it was the other way around, I can't remember, but just so funny. But anyway, so they're the only option for shutting these down because because apparently if you try to shut just one off, it will just like trigger them all and they'll all go off and it'll be goodbye to everybody. So Jean and Megan, they decide that they can connect their minds and work exactly in tandem to shut down every single one of them at the exact same time. Which like wouldn't end up triggering any of them because they would all be going off literally in harmony. And Kara's like, well, not enough of us can fly anyway. And Brainy's like, we could never synchronize our movements, so it's up to Jean and Megan to do that. And even without the satellites, half the population is still brainwashed to love Lex, and Kara asks Lena if she can use Myriad and Lex's original code to undo that. And this is such a good moment, and I loved all of these little like Supercorp moments all throughout the episode where Lena is like, are you sure you trust me to do that, to handle Myriad? And Kara says that she knows that she wants to do good and to help people, and she knows what's in her heart. And I love that this progression feels so so natural after what we saw in the finale with the two of them reconciling and the conversations that they had in the finale. I think it works so well because it just shows how weaker apart they were. I mean, the show itself even said, like, on their Twitter account, stronger together, weaker apart. And that's the truth with Kara and Lena. They're each other's, they lift each other up when they're together. And they just go together so well. And for them to have been apart for so long and then now come back together, it's like they seamlessly just like fall in tandem, you know? And I love that. It's so soulmates. So soulmates, so super wives. I just love it so much. And Kelly, so she's responsible for going to the server database for Lena to get the code so that she can reverse engineer it and send it out through Myriad. So that's Kelly's job. Nia and Alex's job is to go find Lex's kryptonite. So basically they need to use the godly material that Lex injected himself with or, you know, godly alien material to use it the way that Kara is hurt by kryptonite. So they need to just like stick him with it, you know, to make him human again, to make him mortal again. Because right now he is immortal. So they don't need it to kill him, but just to like take him down a notch, bring him back to normal. So that's their job. They need to go to Shelly Island. And Brainy is, because he's still hurting and pretty weak from that radiation poisoning, he's sent with Lena off to her lab. And then Kara's job is to go to the fortress and get Myriad, and she says that she could be a distraction by offering herself up to Lex to buy everyone some time. In that moment, Kara says that she's willing to take that risk to save everyone on the planet. And here's the thing about this moment is that so it shows Kara in like a close-up shot of her saying, she's like, look, it's what I need to do. I accept that I'm willing to take this risk to save the entire population, you know, to save half the population. I need to do this. And then they show a close-up of Lena and a close-up of Alex, and no one else, none of the other characters get close-ups for this moment. So it's close-up of Kara, close-up of Lena, close-up of Alex, close-up of Kara. And it's like, what? You know, it's just further building on that moment from the last episode with Alex and Lena, where they're establishing them as Kara's two most important relationships. And I love that because you can see the pain in both Lena and Alex's eyes when Kara says that, you know, I could be a distraction, because Lena especially knows what Lex is capable of, especially now, and she doesn't want Kara to, you know, to be hurt by him, or, I mean, God, even worse, you know. I think Lena is thinking like worst nightmare scenario here, and you could see the pain on her face when Kara says this, and Alex too, but it's just, I think it's so telling for Lena, and it kind of goes still with my theory that Lena is like, after they're falling out and coming back together, Lena is realizing that she's in love with Kara. So Kara ends up using a hologram to call Lex, and she's wearing, it's clearly something that they filmed after Melissa came back. Because she's wearing terrible clip-on bangs. Revenge of the clip-on bang. I mean, God. You know, no CW actor is, again, no CW actor is immune to a bad wig or a clip-on bang. I mean, even Rachel Skarsten is unfortunately not immune to a clip-on bang. But she tells Lex that if he disables the satellites, then he can have her. She's just gonna let him do whatever he wants, you know, kill her, beat her up, whatever. Like, she's like, I'm fair game if you disable the satellites. And he plans to destroy her. And it's kind of interesting because Lillian, she sees through all of it. She's like, you know, this is just a distraction for her friends to, you know, go disable the satellites and go take destroy everything about your plan that you've been planning. And he's like, I'm too smart for that. Like, I know what they're doing. But this way I get the Kryptonian, whatever. And it's so funny to watch because it's just his ego, his like straight white, cis ego that is truly debilitating. And it's his fatal flaw. So Kelly actually has a moment at Obsidian/Catco where she talks to Andrea, and she says, Andrea says that her father blames her for everything and that she'll be bankrupt by tomorrow. Guys, I'm gonna be honest. I don't care about Andrea. I don't. So, I mean, for me, this scene just, like, was fine. I know, guys. The thing is, and I've talked about this before, the thing is that at this point where we're in season 6, it's the last season, Andrea was only introduced last season. I mean, honestly, I kind of feel the same way about Andrea that I feel about William, where it's like, these two characters that we haven't spent a lot of time with and don't really care about, they're taking up a lot of time that could go to the characters that I care about, and it's just, I don't know. And I know that a lot of people really like Andrea, and I am not in any way trying to invalidate that. I mean, people who love Andrea obviously have ample reason to, and I'm not saying that, like, oh, you can't love Andrea, like, but it's just me. I just feel like that, and I mean, I felt like that since, since they announced that season 6 was the last season, I was kind of like, okay, they need to, like, cut back on some cast members, and we gotta start with Andrea and William. Sorry, man. Sorry, guys, but, this is our last chance to spend with the characters that we really like and really love and have known for seasons and seasons. And it's just, But I mean, I was glad to see Kelly having something to do in this moment, though. It was kind of nice to see Kelly flex her therapist muscles a little bit. I mean, she didn't give her, like, therapy. I mean, Andrea needs it, but but she gave her some advice, and it was a really nice moment for Kelly because, I mean, I just like it when they let Kelly talk. So back at the tower, though, Jean is worried about fully connecting with M'gann and how that this, like, connection that they would share, how that would change their relationship because of what it entails. He worries that she won't love him anymore if she finds out what he thought about white Martians and what he's done, like what his past is. And he's also worried that he could kill the both of them because he's being apprehensive and, like, letting himself hold back because he doesn't really want to let her in, or he's scared to. He wants to let M'gann in, but he's scared to because of what her reaction would be. And I mean, I love the relationship between Jean and M'gann. It's something that's been a consistent on the show for so many years, and I just love the two of them. And I really hope that, and I can't remember, did they up Sharon to a recurring character? Or I can't remember. I cannot remember what Sharon's role is going to be, but I think she's sticking around for a while through this last season, and I'm so thrilled about that because I think she's genuinely a character that has been not necessarily misused, but just, like, hasn't been used enough, I don't think, and I think they're kind of realizing that and bringing her in for this last season pretty consistently is a really smart idea, and I really love her character. She complements Jean so well, and I think she brings a lot to the team, just like that kind of, not necessarily motherly, but just like a mentor, like a mentor figure that, I mean, Jean is a mentor figure as well, but M'gann just has such a good head on her shoulders. And she's so smart, and she's been through so much, and I just really love to see her on the show, and I'm glad that she has this kind of bigger role, it seems. But Alex does end up reassuring him that they're more similar than he might think, and that he just needs to trust both her and himself, and she thinks that it could lead to something beautiful. And Brainy and Nia also end up having a conversation where Nia says that he hurt her despite his best intentions, and he ends up actually giving his Legion ring to borrow to her while he still recovers from the radiation, and also kind of as like a beginning of his apology. And that's huge because if you remember, there was an episode in season 4, maybe season 4, I think, where Brainy lost his Legion ring and he went ballistic. And well, you know, he really, it really stressed him out, and it was a horrible source of anxiety for him, and he always is wearing that ring, you know, and even Jesse wears it all the time. He steals it from set. But for him to give it to Nia was such a cool moment, and I think really helped to establish their relationship, to like re-bridge the gap of their relationship a bit, especially to the audience. I mean, obviously, you know, Brainy has a lot of work to do in terms of regaining Nia's trust and kind of fixing what he broke between the two of them, but it's definitely such a huge first step. So Kara, Alex, and Lena all show up to the fortress. Lena insists that Lex is going to try to kill Kara, but she says that she's at peace with it, which again is very reminiscent of like season 1 finale and other moments where Kara has been self-sacrificial. And it's so upsetting to see Kara always be at peace with death. I think I think her thought process behind being so at peace with death is that then she well, it kind of doesn't make sense if you consider like Argo, but like I think she wants to like, she's happy with the work that she's done in the time that she was given. I think that's kind of the idea behind how Kara feels about self-sacrifice, is that she took that time that she was given to help people, and if she is to die helping people, then that's the best way to die, you know? And I just feel like it's so sad, but her suffering has been so long. I mean, the poor girl spent like 30 years in the Phantom Zone, then, you know, winds up on Earth, and for her whole, in a new place where her cousin won't let her into his house, and he drops her off with a weird family, and then she has this sister who, I mean, obviously over time she grows to love, but has a really hard time growing up with this sister and learning human customs and having to hide for so long. And then finally she becomes a hero, and all of this other stuff has happened, you know, obviously, but her suffering has just been so long and so hard, and so just like, I mean, the weight of the world has always been on Kara's shoulders. The weight of multiple worlds has always been on Kara's shoulders. And I think this episode was a perfect example of that. So I think that just like her thought process is that I'm at peace with the life that I've lived, and it can finally maybe end the suffering. It's so sad. It's so upsetting, but just like, and I mean, she's such a hopeful character too, that like to know how much she's suffered is to know the extent of her hope and the extent of how good her heart is. And for her to kind of be at peace with like giving up her life to save even just one other person's life is so Kara. And you know, I just, it always makes sense to me, you know, when she's ready to like sacrifice herself. But Lena, she's like, I'm not gonna let you make this a suicide mission. I can't let you make this a suicide mission. But Lena, Kara's like, I've made peace with it, you know, whatever. And Lena then says, you know, I know it was hard for you to trust me with Myriad, you know, thank you for trusting me. And Kara literally says, quote, "You're the only person in the galaxy I know would do right by it." And that is so huge for the development of the two of them. So then, in a quick kind of scene, we see Andrea grab her medallion and she shadow jumps to her father's office and buys all of the shares of Obsidian that she can before the market opens. So back at the fortress, Alex and Kara joke, and they're. Alex is like, can I borrow this portal watch? And Kara's like, yeah, I mean, are you gonna give it back? And Alex is like, yeah, I always return what I borrow. And Kara's like, no, you don't. Tell that to every graphic tee I owned when I was in high school. And it was just such a cute moment between the two of them that you could tell that, you know, they were like ignoring the like bigger conversation because they didn't want to talk about it. And Alex ends up saying it's nice to see her working with Lena again, and they say, I love you, always, and they hug, and it's super sweet, and Alex leaves first, and she says, see you later, and it's, you know, it's very much, I don't want to talk about the fact that you might die, you know, or, you know, Alex saying, you're not gonna die, I'll see you later, and Lena ends up leaving with a good luck Kara, and she takes one last look at Kara before she walks away. And it's such a sad moment because then it's just like Kara alone in the fortress, and she exhales and she drops her shoulders, and you could just see the weight of the world on her shoulders. So Lena shows up at her lab with Myriad, and Brainy is there, already working on Lex's code, and he says to Lena that it's terrifying, that Lex could just overwrite free will in this way. And Lena says that the code was her design. Brainy tells Lena that he's sorry for working with Lex, that he had no idea this was his plan, and he can only ask forgiveness for what his help has done to the world. And Lena says that she's got Brainy by a landslide in the culpability award, and she says that all there's left to do is appreciate the friends who've forgiven them and just help them save the world. And it's another like Kara, Lena, Nia, Brainy, Lena and Brainy, Supercorp Brainia parallel here in this moment, because it's like I talked about this so much during season 5 that, and you know, in my Supercorp video, where their stories ran so parallel last year, Brainy and Lena, and this moment where they both apologize to each other and come together and realize that now it's time to be better for the people that they love, specifically for the two women that they love. It's like, come on. Come on. This is Brainia and Supercorp, and they're paralleling each other. Come on. So still in the fortress, Kara is recording her legacy download, and which is like, oh my god. And she's basically recording her version of her Allura hologram that she talked to, you know, in season 1 and season 2. And it's so sad. It's so sad, guys. And it's like, I mean, listen, I know that Argo is technically out there, but on Earth, Kara is the last Kryptonian. She's the last Kryptonian. I mean, yeah, Argo's out there, but they're just floating off in space. I don't know what they're doing. But, I mean, so for Kara, for her to record all of that information, she's the last first-person account of Krypton on Earth. You know, Superman was never on Krypton long enough to remember anything about it at all. And obviously his sons were never on Krypton. So it's like Kara is literally the last first-person account of Krypton left on Earth, and so she records her first-person account of Krypton into one of the crystals at the fortress. And I mean, obviously, I'm sure in there, and we're gonna see in some interviews, Melissa confirmed that there are moments of the recording that the audience does get to see. I'm sure there's moments for Alex and for Nia and for Brainy and for Lena and for all of them. And I'm just ready to bawl. So anyway, Lex, though, he shows up just as she's about to start Volume 2, and he shoots her with kryptonite. At the same time as that is happening, Alex and Nia show up at Fort Shelley, And Otis and Lillian were there, and they fight with a lot of quippy one-liners. They take the alien kryptonite thing to Lena and Brainy, and then they jump to the fortress. It was pretty fun fight, because it was like Nia kicking the shit out of Lillian and like Alex beating the shit out of Otis, and it was like, damn, that was fun. And I like to see Alex, you know, really being out and right there with Nia. I think that they make a really fun team. So M'gann and Jean then also at the same time, they connect in space, they align the satellites, and they the satellites end up deploying this like high-pitched terrible noise that affects literally everybody who wasn't in the Unity Festival. So like Lena, Alex, even the people at Catco like Eve, and Jean and M'gann, though, they end up succeeding, and it prompts Lena and Brainy to activate Myriad, which pulls everybody out of their Lex-induced haze. And there's literally people that are like, what did I ever see in that guy? Like, I don't know, dude. That's a you problem. So at the fortress, though, Kara is prone on the ground when Lex shoots her with kryptonite again. Kara not even wasting her breath on a speech because she knows that Lex can't be convinced, he can't be changed, he's just too evil. And I love that, because literally any other villain, Kara would be pouring her goddamn heart out, you know, onto the floor of the fortress. But to Lex, she doesn't want to give him the satisfaction of groveling or any of that, because she doesn't even believe in any sliver of humanity in him, and I love that. He shoots her with kryptonite so much that he stops her heart. But once he walks out of the room, and he doesn't actually leave the fortress, he just like walks out of that main room. He goes into a different room. And once he steps out, the fortress activates Lena Luthor protocol, and it sends basically like the little thing that transformers out into the you know, like fully bumblebees out into the anti-kryptonite suit. It flies out from God knows where, and has like, it looks like a little it looks like a projector, you know, like from school when they would bring out the projector, and like, you know what I mean. It looks like one of those, and it projects sunlight onto Kara, which restarts her heart, and then it lands on her chest, which obviously draws the kryptonite out of her system. And no helmet, and she looks so good without the helmet, with that damn suit on. I love the shoulders. I'm for whatever reason, I just love like big like armored shoulders. I don't know, like Jean's new costume, I love the shoulders, and I love the shoulders on this like anti-kryptonite Kara suit, and it's like super great. Anyway, so then there's this like really self-indulgent scene where Lex sticks around in the fortress. There's a Queen song playing in the background. I was like, okay. And so anyway, Jean shows up with the rest of the super friends, and Kara included, and she says, "You're predictable. You can thank your sister for proving that." Lex fights them all in the fortress, and he is super powerful, fights all of them off. He actually shatters Kara's anti-kryptonite suit, but Alex ends up delivering the final blow to Lex, which makes him mortal. But in that same exact moment, he grabs the Phantom Zone projector, and Kara gets projected to the Phantom Zone. And I will never forget the look on Kara's face as she realized that she was about to be sent to the place that she was trapped for nearly 30 years. That was so upsetting, and Melissa did such a good job, because I've never seen Kara look that scared. I have never, in the history of the show, I've never seen Kara look that scared. And I mean, it goes with the thing that I was talking about, where I think Kara thinks of death as a way to find peace, and as a way to I mean, a death that serves people. I think she thinks of death as a service to somebody, her own death, you know, and as a way for her to be able to find peace and to finally rest. And for her to not be scared of death, but to be scared of the Phantom Zone, because she knows exactly what torment and torture goes on in the Phantom Zone, because she was there for so long. And I mean, God, the last time that she got pulled from the Phantom Zone was just dumb luck. You know, it was just dumb luck that her pod got knocked off course into the Phantom Zone and then got knocked out. But it's almost impossible to find somebody in there. So for her to have that genuine fear was so striking to me, and it was really upsetting. I think it was the most upsetting moment of the entire episode. So they find out that the data isn't actually recoverable from that damn Phantom Zone projector, so they have no idea where Kara is within the Phantom Zone. They find Kara's crystals, and Alex says that they cannot play them because Kara's not dead and they're going to find her. We can't listen to them, and I wonder how many episodes it's going to take for somebody to crack. Because, I mean, obviously, like I said, with Melissa's interview, we do see them, so, God, how long? You know, how long are they going to wait to kind of give up hope on Kara? It's so sad. And Alex says that Lex is going to wish that he were dead. But he's like, no, I'm not going to jail. I'll tell the world Kara's real identity. You forget that I know that, but I do. And he threatens Eliza's life, and he threatens Kelly's life, and that's when Lena punches him because she's an icon, and she's like, sorry, did you want to do that? And Alex is like, no, family first. I mean, it's so good. It was such a good moment. It was great. I'm so happy that Lena, because she is kind of like, not necessarily silly, but just like she has so much potential to be some kind of comedic relief at some point. Same way with Brainy, kind of in that way that Brainy is. And I love that they just used her to be like, all right, punch the shit out of him. And Alex is like, oh, damn. Family first. So Jean and Magon, they take Lex away, and Alex reveals that Kelly doesn't know Kara is Supergirl. And Lena pulls Alex in for a hug, and it was really sweet. So, at Catco, William writes an expose on Lex, and Andrea says that's gonna get Catco another Pulitzer, but this whole storyline is pretty icky because Crisis literally erased the Pulitzer that Kara got for doing the exact same thing, but now they give it to a man! Yay! Feminism! And it's just like really gross. It's really gross. But William says Kara's name is also on the byline because she helped. But it's like, dude, she didn't help that much. I mean, really, if anything, Kelly's name should be on the byline. Like, she did so much work with William. Like, she had a whole storyline where she worked with William to, like, take the... It's like, okay, so William's not only creepy, but he's also racist? Like, oh my god. Oh my god. And so then Andrea says that Catco is, like, super important now, and she just feels like a cheap cat grant in this moment. I mean... Guys, I know that people like Andrea, but I just can't like her. I can't. I tried last year to like her, but now that I know the show is ending, I can't like her. And, I mean, find somebody who disagrees with me that she felt like a cheap cat grant in this moment, because she literally says, TikTok, back to work, like, as if that's not something that Cat Grant would say. Tell me that's not something Cat Grant would say. It's something she would say. And it's like, come on now. Come on now. So Nia comes in and she says that Kara's off working on something with Cat Grant. And William seems so shocked that Kara wouldn't tell him that she was leaving, despite them not literally being close at all. Like, Kara had so much time in the... she did. She had plenty of time to, like, if she really wanted to, she could have called William. Because she was literally like, yeah, I'm okay if I die. She didn't think of William one time. She didn't think to call him. She didn't think to go check in on him and say, ooh, anything, like, goodbye. She fully thought that she was about to die, and she didn't even think of him for a minute. So... I think that shows exactly the importance that Kara has in her mind for him. At the National City Jail, Lena shows up and uses Myriad, erasing Kara's secret identity from anyone who had any connection with Lex. It's something that gets her weird stares later from Alex and John, which I guess I understand, but because they don't have that same unwavering faith in her that Kara does, and if anything, that just feels like more like Supercorp Endgame. Like, you know, because it's like, all of the rest of the people are still pretty, like, apprehensive about Lena, especially when she, like, walks in and she says, hey, I used Myriad one more time, and Alex and John are like, oh my god, what did she do? Kara's not here to stop her, you know? But Kara immediately trusts Lena with Myriad multiple times. She says multiple times that Lena is the only one that she would ever trust Myriad with. And the difference between the two of that, the difference between, Kara's reactions versus Alex and John's reactions to Lena and Myriad and all of that stuff is like so night and day. And I think it just goes to show that Kara has this like unwavering faith in her, and also just like a deep love for her that I think the other characters don't really understand. So Nia ends up approaching Brainy and gives him the ring back. They talk about Supergirl being gone, Lex living, and Nia stops his self-pity party. Nia says that despite Brainy hurting her, she still cares about him, and says that the heart isn't logical, because Brainy is like, look, it's not logical for you to like still like me or to trust me or whatever because I hurt you. And Nia says the heart's not logical, and she says I'm not a woman who needs to be protected, and she says that she loves him back, and they pinky promise, and I love them. They're my favorite hets. I love them so much. But okay, if anything, here's another Supercorp, Brainia, and kind of Magan and Jean, which again, okay, somebody come up with a ship name for Magan and Jean. There's literally nothing that works. There's nothing. Somebody come up with something for them, because I ship them and I love them and I need some kind of ship name for them. But we don't have one, and none of it works. Because his secret name is Martian Manhunter and hers is Ms. Martian. How are you supposed to combine those? It doesn't work anyway, so somebody needs to come up with that. But the thing is that between Brainy and Nia, where Nia is like, look, you don't have to atone for your sins as deeply as you think you do, with Magan saying to Jean, you don't have to atone for your sins as deeply as you think you do, and with Kara to Lena saying, you don't have to atone for your sins as deeply as you think you do, I still love you despite all of what you've done, I can forgive you, we can move forward together. All three of these relationships run in parallel to each other, and all three of these characters run in parallel to each other, where like Kara is equal to Magan is equal to Nia if we're doing like a math equation, and where Lena is equal to Jean is equal to Brainy if we're doing a math equation. And it just works in that way because they all kind of have the same storyline, the same almost like Romeo and Juliet, you know, kind of storyline where, or not necessarily Romeo and Juliet, but like one does something bad and the other still loves them for it kind of storyline, and they love each other despite their past and all that kind of stuff, and like Kara has unwavering faith in Lena, so does Magan for Jean. I mean, she even says that in the moments where they're gonna connect, and she's like, look, we better connect in a you know, we better do a good job. Like, she's really like flirty because she trusts him wholeheartedly, and she is ready to see every part of him, and she's gonna love him despite all of that. And that's the same way that Kara is with Lena. And it's just all of these relationships all work together to create just this really cool love story that works on all three of them. And I see it, guys. I see Supercorp Endgame on the horizon. Not trying to get people's hopes up or anything, but I do. I see it on the horizon. I'm manifesting. Hey, I manifested a lot of things recently, so but anyway, Jean is talking to Alex, and he says that Malefic, his brother, has a friend who could help find Kara, and that Bagan is already on the case, out looking for that friend. And Jean says that Alex is a hero too, and can cover for Kara in this moment of need, because Alex is really concerned about the people not being able to see Kara, saving people. She's like, well, what if, they need to know that somebody is still looking out for them. And so she actually ends up getting the hero name Sentinel, which is really fun. And also, I've been watching Critical Role like crazy lately, and for Critical Role fans and Bo Yasha fans, they're the Sentinel babes together, which is really fun. So it's fun that Alex has that name. And a Sentinel is basically just like somebody who's like a guard or like a protector, and I think that's so cool. That's such a good name, because Alex has always been Kara's protector and has guarded Kara, but she's also a hero in her own right, and I love that. Love the name. And she gets her own symbol on the little phone call wall, the speed dial wall. And it's really cool. I love that. You know what though? It's kind of funny because they still have Batwoman up on that speed dial wall. If Kara presses the button and Ryan Wilder shows up, like, she's gonna be like, who are you? And they're gonna be like, Kate Kane is dead, and oh my god. Somebody needs to press that Batwoman speed dial button. But Jean says that together they will keep the city safe. So then Lena comes in and she says what she did with Myriad. And she also says, I understand now why keeping Kara's secret was meant to keep me safe. She tells Alex that she needs to tell Kelly that Kara was Supergirl, that she would have wanted her to. And she says that she's your person. And, quote, walling yourself off won't do you any good. And Lena, in that moment, kind of directly compares herself to Kelly in this scene. And it's kind of just, like I said, establishing this, like, parallel to Danson and to all these other couples on the show. Oh my god. And then at the very tail end of the episode, we see Kara in the Phantom Zone with these creepy alien guys, and she has no bangs, so it's like, whoa, wait a minute, how time jumpy are we going here? Like, was Kara passed out in the Phantom Zone for a long time? Or, has she been kind of like jumping through the Phantom Zone? How are they gonna explain this like hair growth? Hell, I'm glad that it's gone. I hated the bangs, but I didn't hate them, but I just didn't like them. I'm ready for her to not have bangs anymore, and I'm glad that Melissa feels the same way. But yeah, that's all that happened in this episode. Feels like an understatement to say, oh, that's all that happened. Like, a lot happened. Because, obviously, it felt like a season finale just because they had to wrap up everything from season 5. And, like I said before in my other recaps, I think of episode 19 and 18 that I felt really good about. Yeah, 19 and 18. I felt really good about those episodes because they were so focused on they leaned into the strengths of the show, which I think you'd think would be a thing that they would want to do all the time, but no. But this episode they did do that. They leaned into the core relationships of the show, especially by having these moments. They had multiple moments throughout the episodes where it was just two characters, and that's exactly what you need to do when your show is this kind of ensemble show that Supergirl has turned into. Legends of Tomorrow does that all the time, where they pair off characters and then, okay, you guys are over here, you're over here, and it's a way to like really balance out storylines and screen time between characters, because then you can have, and also just like have different conversations and different character interactions. So like you pair them off and you let them go do things and have conversations and battle together and whatever. And that's how ensemble shows need to work, in order to get screen time and storylines for every single one of those characters. And I'm really glad that Supergirl is fully leaning into the idea of their ensemble that they have now, because it's really important that now they do give that sufficient time to every single character, especially because it's the last season. So when they would do, okay, Brainy and Nia are gonna talk, and then we have John and Alex, they're gonna talk, and then we have Cara and Lena, they're gonna talk, and then we have Alex and Lena, they're gonna talk, and then we have Lena and Brainy, they're gonna talk, and then we have Kelly and Andrea, they're gonna talk, and everybody has their own little conversations, and it really brings forward the relationships, because that's exactly what the show is about. It's about the relationships between the Super Friends and how they help each other and the found family of it all, and I really appreciated that about this episode. Obviously, it had a lot of Cara stuff that I thought was really good, and I do have faith that this season will be exploring Cara's trauma a bit, because, I mean, how could they not? She's gonna go to the Phantom Zone, so I am expecting to see a masterclass from Melissa, which she always delivers. And I mean, obviously, also, like I said, the episode had a lot of Supercorp in it, so I really liked that aspect of it. I'm really excited to see what lengths Lena will go to get Cara back. Exactly the conversations that all of the characters are going to have with Cara gone, like how they're going to talk about her, what they're going to do. I'm really excited for this season. I'm really excited to see where this goes, when... just what is on the horizon. I really am hopeful for this season, especially because Melissa has been talking so much about how proud she is of this season, and she says that season 4 is her favorite, and I mean, hell, if she likes this season and season 4 is her favorite, then I am gung-ho to see this season. I'm so ready, because I love season 4 as well. So yeah, I really liked this episode. Even, I mean, the inclusion of William was like, whatever. I'm hoping that he'll slowly but surely be written off. I mean, like I said, Andrea, I just have some issues with. But I mean, hopefully as the episodes go on, I kind of can accept her. I mean, I like her as a character, but it's not enough to justify her taking screen time away from other characters I care more about. I'm sorry. But with William, I mean, some people were annoyed at like him asking about Cara, and I mean, obviously I was too, because I thought it was stupid, felt really forced, felt really weird and gross. But, I mean, like I said, Cara didn't even think about him for a minute. When she thought she was straight up gonna sacrifice herself, all she cared about was spending time with Alex and Lena and having conversations with them. So I felt pretty good about it. Felt pretty good about this episode. I really liked it. I think there's a lot more good to come. I think. I feel it, guys. I feel it. So yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. You can like, rate, share, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you guys next Friday.